Hi, this is Melissa Kalt, MD, soul strategist, physician, intuitive Eastern energetic medicine practitioner, mother of 5, and CEO of Sustainably You, where we help brilliant, high-achieving people achieve abundance in all areas of life. Thanks for joining me today on Transformation Tuesday. We are talking today about engineering abundance. Abundance is one of those buzzwords that you hear a lot about, and it means different things to different people. So I think it's really helpful to define what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is this. We can think of abundance in all areas of life. Oftentimes, people will fall into a habit or a mindset of thinking about things as if there is not enough, as if more is better, as if things are just the way they are, or it's just the way it is. And we can think about that as it pertains to time, that there's not enough time, as it pertains to money, as it pertains to our health, our fulfillment, our relationships. We can see that creep up and show itself in all different areas. And when we think about abundance, it's really a 180-degree shift. It is the opposite of that. It is knowing that there is more than enough. Where the other mindset that I described, the scarcity mindset, feels very constrictive, very contracting. Abundance is expansive. It's exhilarating. It is graceful. And it fills us with joy. Abundance is one of those things that I used to think was a matter of something you got to when you had enough, when you got to a certain point. And I can tell you, years ago, I was working at my doctor job. I had the nice cute BMW. I had the nice house in the suburbs. I had 5 awesome kids. I had on paper, funded retirement accounts, a prestigious job, the whole shebang, right? And I was completely and totally miserable. And I felt so ashamed and so badly about myself for feeling that way. Like, this was the ultimate definition of first world problems, right? Here I had so much, and it was not a matter of not being grateful or appreciative or thankful for what I had. I felt all of those things. But what was missing was a sense of purpose, a sense of why, a sense of meaning in my life and fulfillment. And while that piece was missing, I was completely in that scarcity mode, that other side where I felt like I didn't have enough time. I didn't have the health that I wanted. I didn't have the time to spend to achieve the health that I wanted, the wellness. I was fortunate that I didn't have any major medical problems, but in terms of fitness and time for self-care and the things that I wanted to do for myself, I didn't feel like that was even possible. As things started to shift, I realized that I can find where I am on this continuum from scarcity to abundance in all aspects of life. We see it a lot with food, right? Someone who doesn't necessarily know where their next meal is going to come from. If they sit down to a meal, the question is going to be, did you get enough food? Whereas when you're living in a place of abundance, the question is, how is the presentation? Someone living in a place of abundance knows where their next meal is going to come from. They know they don't have to worry about getting enough or even how it tastes. It's how is it presented? And that's why people will pay big prices for fancy presentation at expensive restaurants. But it goes deeper. There are aspects of, eating dessert even though you're full, because if you don't, someone else in the family might eat it. right? That would be a complete scarcity mindset. Whereas knowing that even if I don't get any today, there's always dessert in the future, it's really not a big deal. It would be more of an abundance way of thinking. And food, of course, is just one example. Time was something that I had to learn how to manage long, long ago. When I found myself back in 2013, single parenting my 5 kids, I was completely and totally overwhelmed. I said probably 8 times a day, if only I could have another 3 hours a day, right? Like if only I could have 27 hours in a day, then I could get everything done. That was scarcity mindset. It was also wishful thinking. And what I learned over time was, as I learned to shift and expand time and transition to a place of abundance, I now have more than enough. This is what defines it for me, is I have more than enough. I used to think in terms of relationships, I used to think that I would never find a partner in the Milwaukee area where I live. I thought that just wasn't possible, that I would have to find him in a big city, that he just wouldn't be here. And then in a place of abundance about 2.5 years ago, I put up a profile on a dating website, and 2 days later found my now husband living 25 minutes from me here in the Milwaukee area. It was the shifting from a place of it's not possible, it's just the way it is, to a place of everything is possible. There are infinite possibilities. And so in making that shift, one of the things that was really key for me in understanding how to do that was this concept of engineering my own abundance. You know, having the physician training, the sort of sciencey background, I like the idea of engineering or creating things. I love the concept of reverse engineering an outcome that I want. And I realized that abundance is not something that just happens to us. It's not something that we just like eventually make enough money or, cut back our hours enough, or that it just happens to happen. Because it's not actually tied to any quantities of those things, quantities of time, quantities of money, quantities, if you can quantify health and wellness. There are billionaires with scarcity mindsets who are not living in abundance. And there are people who have very little in terms of assets who do live from a place of abundance. It's not a matter of just talking yourself up or using affirmations to, positive thinking, make yourself feel better. It's a complete platform shift from the platform where things are finite, where there's a limited amount and you have to get what you can, to a place that is infinite, truly that place of infinite possibilities. And once I realized that that wasn't just going to somehow happen someday, that it was my job to create it, and that it didn't matter how much I had or where I was starting from, but that I could use skills to every day to create that abundance that I wanted, my life completely shifted. I would love to hear from you about what areas in your life you feel like you're in that scarcity or finite platform, and in what areas you're living in abundance. And I'd love to help you shift those, because I'll tell you what, living in the place of abundance is really fun. Drop a comment below. Let me know where you're at. I would love to connect, and I'll see you next week.